If a woman can give birth to God, if a woman can be the first preacher of the resurrection and the first preacher of the birth, oh, I feel
Right.
like I need to justify why I'm qualified to be a preacher, but you don't. It's right there on the page. Hi, everyone. I'm Reverend Jim Keat, the digital minister at the Riverside Church.
And I am Reverend Adriene Thorne, the senior minister at the Riverside Church. And this is the Word Made Fresh.
The Word Made Fresh is a weekly video Bible study sermon prep resource. We look at the narrative lectionary and we offer ideas, insights, things that you can borrow, steal, use in your context, or if you just want to learn about the Bible, we got some ideas. So we're diving in today to Luke chapter 2, verses 8 to 20. That's what the narrative lectionary gives us. And this is a pretty special Sunday, not just because that Luke 2 text might ring some bells from Christmas pageants. It's the shepherds and the angels. But this is on Christmas Day.
Woo!
Reverend Thorne, Sunday is Christmas.
Sunday is Christmas. The expecting Jesus has ended and Jesus is here. The baby is born. It's going to be so exciting. I love it when Christmas falls on a Sunday. It's the best.
How are you approaching this text? I mean, it's the Christmas text. It's a Christmas story, but how are you approaching it given that you're going to be preaching it on Christmas Day itself? Does that kind of change anything for you or just give you a different kind of energy or boost behind it? What's the kind of feeling you bring to the text now?
Yeah, I think there's definitely an extra boost preaching the Christmas story on Christmas Day. I probably told you that I've worked in places where people are like, oh, Sunday is Christmas, and we just had Christmas Eve, so we probably don't need to open the church on Sunday, right? And I'm like, what? The whole reason that there is a Christmas is because of this story. So we wouldn't have a church, we wouldn't have a Christmas. So of course we're opening the church on Christmas Day. So I just wanted to say
next?
that.
We're going to close on Easter Sunday
I
so people can do
know.
their egg hunts? No.
I know. So for any of you who are thinking about closing your church on the Sunday because it's Christmas and you want to take a break, don't do that. That's just horrible theology. Horrible theology. So shepherds and angels. It's such a great story, and we all have that notion in our mind that these messengers come to these lowly shepherds, and we've heard the stories about how shepherds are the outcast and shepherds are the marginalized, and I think that's all good. But you know something I read just this week that I am fascinated by, and I know this is going to tickle your fancy, Reverend Jim. There is a man, and I believe he may himself be from the Middle East, but he definitely has 3 daughters. And I read this on probably Instagram. Haven't verified it, but I think the notion is wonderful. He said that in these cultures, of course, we know the youngest children were often the one watching the sheep. So we know that that was the case with David, that when the prophet came, they had to send out for David. He's looking for the sons, and he's like, I think there's one more. And they're like, yeah, there's David, but he's out watching the sheep. So in these cultures, yes, the youngest children watch the sheep, and it sounds like uncles or maybe male figures were up higher watching the children as they watched the sheep in case there was some danger, but they were able perhaps to do some other things. What's interesting is that it was often girls. This person suggests that in his culture, it was girls as young as 8. So they weren't married yet. They weren't yet able perhaps to do the things a teenage girl could do. Maybe they couldn't carry water or cook or take care maybe of babies, but they could sit with sheep. So it's fascinating to think that perhaps the messengers of God came to little girls. And the reason this commentator thought it was fascinating is then it's women on the other end of the gospel to whom Jesus, right? I was like, oh my God, little girls and women are the first ones to get the message of the birth and of the resurrection. And I just thought,
and they're the first ones to go share the news.
And
because Mary's the first one who goes and shares the proclamation of the resurrection. And here the shepherds go to the manger, see this thing that the angels told them about, and then they go tell everybody what they've seen and heard. They are the first preachers of the birth.
Right? Isn't that good? So I don't know historically if we're really going to be able to find out if those shepherds were little 8-year-old girls. But what this person is sharing with us is that in his culture, in current time, little girls are the shepherds. And I thought that is so beautiful. And I think so powerful for little girls girls and for women. And I think it's a different take for boys and men and
Yep.
everyone else, all of the siblings of God.
Well, it simply challenges the kind of characterization we see of the nativity story. Why do I always think of the shepherds as boys or men? Why is
Right,
that the, gender construct I impart upon that role?
right.
No, I
Well,
mean
it's
there's
all the
nothing that.
iconography, right?
Yes.
He said
Oh.
they're 40-year-old men, they're grizzly, and they have beards. So first of all, people didn't even live that long in that time period. So for, and there would have been better things for a grown man to do than to watch the sheep. So I just thought, oh, this is very fascinating and might just give
Mm.
unlock some new tasty delights for us on Christmas morning.
That is rich, the especially that bookend, knowing where the story's going
Right?
33 years later, but
Yeah.
that sense of the first preachers on both sides of this story are girls, a woman, and
Hmm.
then, sadly there are still far too many churches that say that you can't preach or be ordained if you are a woman, to which I just say read the Bible. If a woman can give birth to God, if a woman can be the first preacher of the resurrection and the first preacher of the birth, oh, I feel
Right.
like I need to justify why I'm qualified to be a preacher, but you don't. It's right there on the page.
Well, I honestly think that all God's people are called to preach this good news and this word, right? We should not make it exclusive. And I think the more voices out there helping to spread the goodness of the gospel, the better for our planet. Yeah. It's also interesting, throughout this gospel, the way Jesus interacts with women. I think that's something we're going to want to keep our eyes out for as we're journeying through Matthew from this moment to and beyond Easter Sunday morning.
Yeah, because we're in Luke for this Sunday, but then we quickly move to Matthew, as you alluded, because the narrative lectionary does take us into Matthew next. This is our one little dip into Luke, and then it's like, get ready for a whole lot of Matthew, where we're going to really dive into that book.
Yeah, thank you for that correction. We actually are in Luke, and then we're making the flip. I wonder, that's an interesting narrative lectionary surprise. But we love
Yeah,
Luke,
yeah, there we
so
go.
that's great.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Luke and Matthew, there are a lot of similarities in there.
Oh yeah. You can get, all Bible geeky. Mark came first, and then there was Q, not QAnon, by the way. This is a different
Oh my
Q.
gosh,
And
not
then from those sources, they took that, and that's where we get, or you get Matthew and Luke, and those are
yes,
the synoptic gospels. And then John is the thing that just came way later, which is why it looks so much different. Oh,
right.
and that's where it gets really exciting.
Very exciting. Yeah.
So my favorite thing about this, well, I'll say it's my second favorite thing, because my favorite thing is what you just said. That is now officially my favorite thing about this particular passage in Luke. My
Right.
second favorite thing is it's the word today, or I think it's this day. The angels say this day a baby is born,
Mhm.
the Savior is born. And I was looking at, again, the good old footnotes in the HarperCollins Study Bible, and it points out how that word this day or today is a word we see used throughout the Gospel of Luke, and it is always used to refer to this immediate inbreaking of salvation. It's where you see in Luke 4 when Jesus gets in the synagogue and reads the scroll from Isaiah and says, "Today this is fulfilled in your hearing." It's when he says at the end of the story, "Today you will be with me in paradise," to the thief on the
Yes.
cross. There's I think it's like 5 or 6 times when we see the same word used, and this is the first one, and it goes all the way through. And it's just a beautiful through line of this radical salvation breaking in so many unexpected ways.
Reverend Jim, that is beautiful. I mean, the notion, what it brought to mind was this song from the musical Rent where they say, "No day but today." Like in this moment, like we're not thinking about what happened yesterday or what's coming for us. And I think that's the place where God meets us, like in the prayer, in the breath of this moment
Mm.
today. And there is no day but today. That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. Immediately,
So,
today, this
so you've
day.
already got your sermon direction plan, but if anyone else is going to pick up the today theme, you should definitely get some Rent going on Christmas morning. Oh, that
Oh,
would just be a really
absolutely.
beautiful. Oh, can you imagine singing "No Day But Today" on Christmas
Oh,
morning? That just already feels like a little bit of goosebumps.
oh, I love that. So you guys got two sermon ideas for the price of one today.
Oh, well,
Love it.
Christmas is coming.
Oh,
It's
yes.
going to be wonderful. If you're watching this ahead of time, join us at Riverside if you're looking for a place for worship. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, we will have a whole lot on both days. Christmas Eve at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. We have two different Christmas Eve services, children and family service at 4, which really is for everybody, but it's just designed to really engage our youngest participants as well. And then a more traditional lessons and carols at 8. And then Sunday morning, 10:45 a.m. Christmas Day. All of these are in the Nave in New York City or online if you're not near New York City or just want to have it on your TV, phone, computer device while you're home with family or whatever. What better background noise for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day than a little bit of worship with Riverside? So join us. We hope you can. And Reverend Thorne, I'm not the only one who's really eager to hear what you are preaching on this particular Christmas Sunday. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Happy Christmas, everybody. We'll see you next week, I think.
No, we're taking that week off. Oh, we're skipping a week,
Okay.
and then we're back.
And then we're back.
So here, I'll put the schedule on screen. This is what you can expect. We'll see you then.
No game on Zoom.